We're going into one of the best election years of our lifetime. Let's hear it, Democrats. All right. That's what I like to hear. All right. So, the second best thing to all these good Democrats here gathering in this wonderful, beautiful day, the second best thing, this is a county park. And as a county executive, there's nothing more than I appreciate a place like this for a community to gather. Now, one of the top issues that you are going to hear, or at least what I've heard people ask, is who can beat Ron Johnson? I am the only candidate running, as Mark had mentioned, who has won election and re-election 6 times in a tough part of the state. 3 times as a legislator and 3 times as a county executive, which I am right now. And in addition to that, I know this is kind of passé though, but I think I've got some good background and good experience to be a good U.S. Senator, having been a legislator, being down in Madison as a majority leader. And when I say majority leader, people look at me and say, are you a Republican? Because when was the last time we were in the majority in the legislature here? But there was a time we had great legislators like Spencer Black, like Joe Parisi, like Mark Polkan, on, and we did some good things. We were able to push the Clean Energy Jobs Act, which was a precursor to the Green New Deal, which I support right now. We were able to get legislation passed that allowed the children of undocumented immigrants to be able to get an education at a UW school at in-state tuition, which is also a very similar piece of legislation that's going that we adopted that unfortunately is being challenged, and that is DACA. So these are the types of things that we can be proud of here in Wisconsin. This happened recently, but the proud progressive tradition, that is our roots. It's who we are, it's what we believe in. And people ask all the time, what happened to Wisconsin? I talk to folks all over this country, and they want to know what happened here. And I believe that as difficult and as dark as the last 10 years have been, I believe, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that this will be, in the long course of history in this state, it will be a blip. And the reason why is we have gatherings like this. We have committed, hardworking Democrats all over the state, whether it is in Dane County, or if it's in Kenosha County, or if it's in southwest Wisconsin, or if it's in Superior, wherever it is, we are committed and we are dedicated to doing that. So my story is a story that I think a lot of folks here in Wisconsin have heard before. I grew up in a blue-collar neighborhood in a village called Little Chute in Outagamie County, population 7,097. And I grew up on Carolyn Drive, where all of the dads worked at the paper mill, except for one, my dad, who wore the white collar, who was a Lutheran pastor. And so I learned 2 very important lessons when I was growing up. Number 1, the importance of serving your community. And number 2, the importance of working families and how they built not just Carolyn Drive and Little Chute and Outagamie County, but this state and this country. I learned about the issues that they are concerned about. I learned about the challenges, the things that are important to them. And my dad said, if you are in a position, it doesn't matter where you go or what you do with your life, never forget where you came from. And I never have. And whether as a legislator or as a county executive, if there was a piece of legislation that came across my desk, I would ask a simple question: is this good for the families on Carolyn Drive? When there was a line item in my budget as county executive, I asked the question, is this good for the working families on Carolyn Drive, the folks in western Wisconsin, the family farmers like my aunt and uncle, the supper club owners on Grand Avenue in Little Chute? That is what I'm going to do in Washington. I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire. This race is about the working families of the state. This is about defeating someone like Ron Johnson, who is an unmitigated disaster, and is up to him It's up to us to defeat him, because people in this state are looking for a leader to do that, but also people across the country are looking for a leader to do that well. This race is not just about this state. It is about this country, and it is about the future. The U.S. Senate, who controls the U.S. Senate, comes right through Wisconsin, just as it did for the White House 2 years before that, the White House 4 years before that, on and on. This is a tremendous responsibility, an awesome responsibility. But as I go across the state, this is a 72-county campaign. And I talk to people and I look folks in the eyes. I look at Democrats, I look at progressives that are going to work morning, noon, and night to make sure that we get rid of Ron Johnson and we put a true blue progressive back into the White House. Let me just conclude by saying this. The power of community, what I said in my speech about what my dad taught me and what we did on Carolyn Drive. I got a great story. It's a story of Appleton Coated, which is a paper mill in Combined Locks, Wisconsin. And 4 years ago, that mill went into receivership, and everybody had written it off. They wrote the obituary of Appleton Coated, except the local union and myself and a few others decided to fight back. We objected to that sale to a scrap dealer. We went before a judge. We convinced him to give us a second chance to start that mill. We made that scrap dealer run that mill, and we found out within a couple of months, sure enough, we could make paper, we could make a profit, and we could bring folks back to work. 300 paper workers came back and are working today. That mill was so successful that when he sold it, when the scrap dealer sold it 2 years after he bought it, he cleared almost $100 million. Think about that. He wouldn't have been able to see a fraction of this if he did not listen to the community, if he did not listen to that labor union and the elected leaders. I also believe that when that happens, that is emblematic of why we have income inequality, why workers, like communities like Little Chute or Waunakee, we just don't get a fair shake. We need someone in Washington who's not a millionaire, who's not a billionaire, who knows the issues and the challenges that face this state and face the country, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Thank you.